Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank our witnesses for being here today, including the sheriff, but to Ms. Funder, Ms. Moran, Ms. Nungaray, and Ms. Nobles. I've listened to your testimony, and our hearts are with you. It is a difficult task to discuss the loss of your children, and this committee appreciates your presence and recognizes how difficult it truly is. And as to Ms. Nungaray, as the father of twin 12-year-old daughters, and my heart was especially touched by your testimony. Thank you. This Biden-Harris administration's failed immigration policy, the border crisis created by this administration, continues to harm communities across not just the southern border, but across the country. And having traveled to the border 3 different times, twice to Texas, once to Yuma, Arizona, we not only got to see the impact that it had on those communities, but how every community is impacted. We talked to farmers whose crops were invaded by illegals who were camping in the fields in Yuma. And if anybody's been to a convenience store in the middle of winter and turned over a ready-made salad and looked at the bottom, it says made in Yuma. So not only are you dealing with food supply issues, food price issues, but also farmer costs. And then we went to a hospital and saw a NICU, and the NICU directors talked about how many of their NICU beds are filled with migrants because it is a dangerous journey. Women are assaulted on the trip up, and they are often pregnant by the time they arrive at the border. They don't have prenatal care. They are often delivering prematurely and have to take up those NICU beds. If you are a citizen of the United States and you're in Yuma, Arizona, and you need a NICU bed, you're traveling to Phoenix, several hours away. Talking about the education system and the need for ESL teachers and the impact on the tax rates and the transportation and the housing costs. And I mean, this is a humanitarian crisis, but also a crisis at the border, and it's also a crisis across the country in communities like mine, which is thousands of miles away in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But having been a prosecutor, I worked with a county who had an ICE agreement so that when illegals were arrested for committing crimes, they were tried, they were jailed, but the day they got out of jail, they didn't go walk the streets of Harrisonburg. They went and were taken by ICE to the airport, and they were sent back. And to any of you who would like to answer, why should everyday Americans care about the border crisis, even if they are thousands of miles away from the southwest border in places like Virginia? Ms. Aguirre?
I can tell you that all the people sitting here today didn't choose this path. Tragedy struck them without choice. Alexis had no idea that was going to be the last day she was going to have her daughter, alongside these other mothers. So whether or not you want to take notice of what's going on at the border, it might come knocking at your front door. Mr. Gonzalez, when he left to work that day, had no idea that was going to be the last moment he saw his daughter alive. The next time he was going to see her was at the medical examiner's office identifying her body. Right. So whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, the criminal element of the immigration population do not care. Yeah. They are going to afflict their criminal ways on our communities regardless. And not even mentioning any of the financial things that you just mentioned, which are important. My primary focus is the preservation of life, right? And quality of life. And I am just besides myself that we prioritize giving a complete stranger who has never contributed to our society a chance at the likelihood that they may or may not harm a U.S. citizen. Yeah. Or in my case, a little girl who's also a migrant.
And all you have to do, if you're in any part of the country and have a relationship with your law enforcement officers, go talk to them. Because as Sheriff Boudreaux said, even my sheriffs in rural Virginia can tell you when they pull over an unmarked van on the interstate highway and find sex trafficking, human trafficking, minors being abused, that is happening right in our backyard. And so we have a responsibility to protect the citizens of our districts, just as we do to ensure that you can be protected in your homes as well. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I thank you. I thank the witnesses again. I yield back.
Gentlemen,